Welcome back to chapter 6 of 1 Samuel. This is right after the Philistines suffered plagues and tumors because of the fact that they stole the ark, and obviously after all that panic and sickness, they were wondering, how are we going to send this ark back to where it came from? We learned that they suffered plagues of tumors and mice because of their capture of the ark, and they asked their priests for guidance and a plan on how to send it back. They actually put the ark on cows to be able to send it back, because I think they were too afraid to carry it back themselves. And they also made guilt offerings of mice and tumors to the Israelite town of Beth-Shemesh, confirming that the plague was in fact judgment from God. They were wondering if this is one from God or not, and it was confirmed that it is from Yahweh, the one true God, and they sent it back to the men of Beth-Shemesh, and they rejoiced when they found it, and they used those cows to actually make a sacrifice to the Lord to say thank you that the ark is back after all this time. And then they made a plan to send it to Kiriath-jearim. But let's first go back to the Philistines' problem. The ark brought forth plagues and tumors, even being moved between their cities. And after 7 months of affliction, the Philistines consulted their priests, asking how are they going to send it back. And this was their plan, to send it back so that the problem will no longer be theirs. And I believe when it was there in Beth-Shemesh, it was there also for quite some time. And when it got there, the ark was received with joy, but the Lord struck down 70 men who were just looking at the ark. If you think of Raiders of the Lost Ark, the first Indiana Jones movie, they looked upon the ark and their faces melted and they died. I'm not exactly sure if that scene in Indiana Jones is based off of this part in the Bible, that they just looked at the ark and they died. Maybe it's the way they died, maybe they just fell down and died. But if you want a reference point of what it maybe could have looked like, maybe Indiana Jones is a reference point. Obviously, it's not canon, it's not the complete truth, that's just a movie. But I'm thinking maybe that could be like a visual representation of what it could have looked like if they looked at the ark or looked inside the ark. This is more accurately translated for looking into the ark. It was forbidden for them to look inside of the ark. I believe somewhere in Numbers or something, I'll put the reference here, that says that it's forbidden for them to look inside the ark. The ark had the sacred 10 commandments. It had Aaron's staff, and it had a bowl of manna in it that was from the time when they were in the wilderness. So they were not allowed to look inside of the ark, and 70 men did, and they obviously died. And then, of course, fearing God's wrath, the men of Beth-Shemesh sent the ark to Kiriath-jearim because they were afraid of what else the ark would do. It was very clear that God was angry with the Israelites because of everything that they were doing at that time. Everything that the sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, were doing were obviously wrong in the Lord's sight, that he brought judgment on the Philistines as well as the Israelites. And finally, it was back in chapter 6. But chapter 7, we're going to continue as to what happens for the rest of the Ark of the Covenant. And we're also getting really close to learning and meeting one of the most important characters in this book, which is Saul, who of course became the first king, spoiler alert, of Israel, but we will get to that soon enough.